parliament really influence the final laws? What I need us to recognize is that our system is a hybrid system that does not have only the legislative arm of government making laws. The executive arm is part of the process. How the requirement of presidential assent makes the executive arm of government part of the lawmaking process. Now,
yes, we know that is the aspect of checks and balances.
Yes. Now, the reason why they may really influence the final laws is it's not just about parliament. But we also must realize that parliament is about lobbying. You must educate members of parliament in regards to the law that you are sponsoring. Help them understand its importance, have enough numbers, because it's a democracy. The minority have their say, while the majority have their way. Rally enough numbers to stand with you, have the 2/3, have the majority of the House stand with you, have the Attorney General also okay that part, so that when it goes to the President for assent, it doesn't change so much. So the process is, you must have colleague members of parliament see things the way you see them. Allow to have a meeting of minds on the legislation that you are sponsoring. Have a meeting of minds with the respective ministry or government department or agency that is directly influencing or affected by that legislation, which is going to be in conversation with the Attorney General. And that will ensure that you have government support for that law to pass, for the presidential assent to be achieved. So, aside the talking that you say, you have to lobby behind the closed doors. And this is what parliamentary platforms and fora help us with. Civil society organizations that have a keen interest on particular legislation. If you remember the marriage and divorce bill, many women organizations were behind it, helping members of parliament understand the contents and the need for a new legislation, looking at the old legislation and the changes in case law that has been made by judges on what the marriage and divorce laws and the family setup look like. Those civil society organizations help you to have members of parliament come and have experts speak to them on issues, because an MP is not an expert on everything. But if you teach them and they're able to understand, they can even make legislation on nuclear weapons, on atomic energy. So you lobby on such platforms to ensure that you have the majority in the House, have the Attorney General, the respective ministry department in the House, and of course the office of the Speaker, very, very important office in the process of lawmaking. Then it can go to presidential assent and retain its original format as you intended it to be as the mover of the bill.
Said that many MPs debate but rarely influence. Influence comes in different formats. We have seen the role of the judiciary coming in as one of the arms. Even if the president has assented, it can be challenged and the law can be dismissed. Yes? Now in a situation that you are the only opposition member of parliament in the Aga's house, how will you manage to maneuver the odds in the house to ensure that you are on the lead?
Have no stratification of party lines. Women's issues are human rights. Women's rights are human rights. So when you have a legislation that is well-meaning, you easily gonna support. I have experience from the sexual offences bill. I was the mover of the it garnered so much support, even from the office of the Speaker and many members of Parliament, not just women, but also male members of Parliament, that recognize the need to protect the vulnerable in society, the need to codify all this legislation in one piece of law. Lobbying is about getting people to see things from your perspective. The process of lawmaking is not one man's responsibility. It's a unified effort. There is no man who's an island. Both sides of the House need each other. If you've watched in the recent past, some motions to borrow were brought to Parliament. Most of the members of Parliament that were present were the NRM members. The leader of opposition stood and told the Speaker, Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, Right Honourable, we do not have quorum in this House. And indeed, it was about quorum. Quorum is about number, not party shade.
Well, thank you very much. But how will you ensure that the community, the community's input from Soroti is incorporated before you vote on the national legislation?
As a people's representative, my engagements with the people include telling them and informing them about processes in Parliament to gather their views so that I can relay the same views to the House of Representatives. That's really the representation role. And the only way that you can incorporate communities is by engaging them. I've had, over the last term, I've had several engagements. There is no village that I haven't gone to more than twice to speak to them, to hear their views, to hear their challenges. That informs you as a leader on the needs of your people. So that when you involve yourself, when you go to represent them, when you go to make laws, when you go to appropriate budgets, you reflect the desires of the population that you represent. Yes, sir.
What do you make of this?
What do I make of activism?
Yes.
Activism is a very powerful tool to send a very strong message, to demonstrate solidarity for around a particular cause. Activism gives us a chance to express ourselves without the housekeeping rules that the House of Representatives may give us. In 2022, on Women's Day in Soroti City, we had a moment with the late Cecilia Ogwal and Honourable Joanna Chongalobo, an opportunity to express our discontentment in the handling of issues surrounding the celebration of the Women's Day in Soroti City. I have been a social justice activist for as long as I can remember. Those are the ideals that have formed me and forged me into who I am today. They forged my beliefs, my political and social beliefs. If you followed my journey, you know that I've been an activist for many things. A political activist, a social activist, a women activist. It's my way of sending a message. And world over, activism has achieved so much. It takes different forms. You can be maybe a scholarly activist who writes all your activism